You know that statistic that says that 80-something% of women are not wearing the correct bra size. And it's like, oh, poor women, their poor little brains don't understand how sizing works. It's a number and a letter, it's not rocket science. But the thing is that we may be wearing the wrong bra size because most of the sizes don't make any sense. And I'm going to explain why. I am a pattern maker specialized on lingerie, and I have realized that most of the brands that I work with, they have no idea how their own sizing systems work, and they use wildly different sizing standards. So I decided to get to the bottom of the question and do some research to understand how bra sizing came to be, what can we do if we want to understand a little bit more about it, and hopefully find a bra that fits. So come along with me on this journey and watch me slowly lose my sanity. Okay, so this is what we know so far. Bra sizes have a number and a letter. The number is supposed to represent your band size, and the letter is supposed to represent your cup size, or more accurately, your cup volume. So the bigger the letter, the bigger the volume in relation to your band size. So finding your bra size should be easy. You would measure your underbust just along the band of your bra, and that measurement should correlate with your band size. And then you would measure over the breast to calculate your cup volume. So the difference between your underbust and your full bust would be an easy way to get your cup size. That is not the most accurate way of calculating your cup volume. Actually, if you are going to draft patterns for a bra, you would need a few more measurements like the cup height or the cup width, but just calculating the difference between bust and underbust is a quick way to get an idea of your cup size, especially if you are on a store and you want to buy a bra or you're shopping online. Now, the problem is that each country has a different system for calculating bra sizes and cup sizes, and there are even some countries, and I'm looking at you, US and UK, that have two different sizing systems that produce wildly different results and are randomly used by some brands or some others. So how on earth did we come to this? That is what I decided to find out. So, after doing some research, I discovered that it's actually very difficult to find historical information about when and how each bra sizing system was established in each country. The country that I was able to find more information was the US, and most of that was thanks to a 12-year-old Reddit post which shared a lot of historical resources, like for example links to patents of bras from the 1900s and even some historical fashion catalogs that show the sizing in which the customers could buy those bras. So the general consensus is that bras at the beginning were sized just with a number, and that number corresponded with your dress size. And your dress size at the time was calculated by measuring over your bust. That's how, for example, in the US, we could get a bra that is a size 36, and that 36 means that if you measured around your bust, that measurement would be around 36 inches. And the size increments were every 2 inches. So you would get bras that were 34, 36, 38, and so on. And then in some other countries, like for example, Australia, you would get bras that were size 8, 10, 12. And those numbers correlated with your dress size. So if you would buy a dress in a size 8, probably you would buy a bra in a size 8. And that size 8 was calculated in the base of your overbust measurement. I also found out that in Europe, more or less follow that rule too. So in France and Spain, you would get a bra that was a size 90, and that meant that over your bust, you would measure 90 centimeters. And bra sizes would grow by 5 centimeters, which is more or less around 2 inches. So you get bras in sizes 85, 90, 95, 100, and so on. So most countries seem to be in some kind of agreement that your bra size meant your overbust measurement. And remember that we still don't have any cap sizes. That happened around the 1930s when some American companies, there's some discussion about which one was the first one, but someone decided that cap sizes can be useful, so they started to add a letter to go with your bra size. Some said that the first company that did that was S.H. Camp and Company, and some others said that it was Warner's, but in any case, the first letters that were used for bra sizing were from A to D. However, these first cap sizes had a couple of problems. First, there wasn't a clear rule about what each letter really meant. So it was more or less like an approximation. So if you had smaller breasts, you would have an A. If you had somewhat average breasts, you would have a B, and so on. And also, the first letters actually didn't talk about the volume of the breast, but about something called the pendulousness. But pretty quickly, they decided that actually the volume was more important to calculate the bra size. So that's how the letters came to signify the cap volume. So at this time, you would get a number that was related to your overbust measurement, and then a letter that was related to more or less how big or how small your breasts were in relation to your frame. And then tragedy happened. So in 1975, the European Common Market Organization decided that it was a great idea to standardize bra sizing to make it easier to sell bras across of Europe. So they made a brave attempt to make people adopt this new sizing system in which the number in your bra size wouldn't correlate with your overbust measurement, but instead with your underbust measurement. So for example, you would get a European bra that was sized at 75, and that meant that the person who was supposed to fit into that bra would have a 75 centimeters underbust measurement. And the bra sizes would continue to grow by 5 centimeters, so you would get 70, 75, 80, 85, and so on. That caused massive outrage in women, and there's also a Scottish newspaper from the time that talks about this news, and it's super fun to read because it's full of jokes about deflating and uplifting. So these are some of the things that it said. One leading model said it's had a deflationary effect on her entire psychology, and a fashion designer says it will make European women the laughing stock of the world. And also someone else said, what used to be a healthy 36-inch bust might be reduced to a paltry 32 inches. But there's also an interesting part that gives us some information about where the +4 method, which is a method that a lot of brands nowadays use to calculate your bra size, comes from. So it says, so what are we supposed to do now? Subtract 4 inches or so from 22 centimeters to get the right size? This person was referring as to how they could correlate their old bra size with this new bra sizing system. Her old bra size was 36 inches, which more or less correlates to 92 centimeters. She and other women realized that they could subtract around 4 inches from that measurement and more or less get their new bra size. That would be a 32. The fact that this worked for a lot of women at the time tells us that most women would have around a 4-inch difference between their bust and their underbust. So on the modern sizing system, they would be around a D cup. In the end, what actually happened was the opposite. Women were very angry because with the new sizing system, it seemed as if their boobs had shrunk. So what British manufacturers did was to keep the old size labels and just tell people to measure their underbust and add 4 to 5 inches to that to get the new size. This is what is called vanity sizing in the fashion industry, and it's when brands tweak their size labeling system to make you believe that you're a size that you are not, because it's supposed to make you feel better. And in the rest of Europe, there was more or less the same outrage, so a lot of the countries adopted the new sizing system but kept the old size labels. So that's the case of France and Spain, that nowadays have bras that are size 90, 95, 100 and so on, and in the shops they tell you that to calculate your band size you should measure your underbust in centimeters and then add 15 centimeters to that. And they do that just in the same way as British manufacturers make you add 4 inches, just so that you can keep using your old bra size, like the same labeling, even though they are supposed to be following this new standard that says that the number in the bra size is related to your underbust. And in the US they also adopted this new sizing system, the one that the UK brands were using, in which they tell you to add 4 or 5 inches to your underbust so that you can find your bra size. This is the +4 method that a lot of brands currently use, and we have seen that it comes from vanity sizing, from not educating the consumers and wanting them to keep buying the same sizes as before. Because if the brands change the name of the sizes to adapt to that new sizing system, the consumers would subconsciously perceive them as too small. So that's how we got to the band sizes that we have today. And now let's talk about the cup sizes. At some point, an intelligent person in the US or the UK decided that it was a good thing to standardize what the cup sizes really meant. So they decided that each cup size would mean 1 inch of difference between your overbust measurement and your band size. Notice how I've said your band size and not between your bust and your underbust measurement, because we are still using the +4 method, so your band size doesn't correlate exactly to the measurement of your underbust. We are adding 4 inches to that. And so if the difference between your band size and your full bust measurement was 1 inch, that would be cup A, 2 inches cup B, and so on. More recently, some brands have realized that this +4 method makes absolutely no sense, and they have started using your underbust measurement as your band size. So you wouldn't add anything to your underbust, just round up or down to the nearest even number, and that would be your band size. So if your underbust measures 34 inches, you would be a size 34. And if it measures, I don't know, like 36.5, you could round down to 36 and so on. But now that changes your cup size too, because if the cup size is calculated from the difference between your bust and underband, now your underband measurement doesn't have anything added to that. So a person who has an underbust measurement of 34 and then a bust measurement 1 inch more of 35 would have an A cup, while in the old sizing system that person more or less didn't exist, because your first size, your A cup, was someone who had 1 inch of difference between bust and underband, and that means that a 34B using the +4 method and a 34B using the new rational method look absolutely nothing alike. I have made the experiment and I have made it in Clo. I have here 2 avatars. One of them is an Albanon avatar, who are supposed to be the standardized measurements for everything, and she is a 34B according to Albanon. The other avatar is one that I have made myself in that 3D, and I have made it more or less according to the measurements of a 34B with the new method. If we look at the measurements, the underbust measurement is obviously different. The Albanon avatar is using the +4 method, so its underbust would be around 30 inches. So when you add 4, you get that 34 band size. But the other avatar is using the new sizing system, and her underbust is 84.5 centimeters, which equals more or less a 33.2 inches, which we can round to the nearest even number, which is a 34. And then we can look at the cup difference. The Albanon avatar is using the +4 method and has a 2 inch difference between the full bust measurement and the band size. We are already adding 4 inches to the underbust, so the real difference is actually around 6 inches. That's why when we look at this avatar, we see that the cup size looks much bigger. The other avatar has that 2-inch difference between her underbust and her overbust. So her overbust is also around 93 centimeters, more or less the same as the Albanon avatar, but it has only 2 inches difference from the underbust. And if you think that this avatar looks too small to be a 34B, then I recommend you to check out an Instagram account called the Irish Bra Lady, which has a lot of pictures of what bra sizes look like in real bodies, and she's using the modern sizing method, the one that makes sense. Now, if you are not confused yet, wait until you hear how things are going in Europe. Here, nobody had a clear answer about cup sizes, so everybody does pretty much whatever they want. Brands tell you that to calculate your cup size, you have to calculate the difference between your bust and underbust measurement, and if you have around 10 to 12 centimeters of difference, some brands is even more, it's around 13 centimeters of difference, you would be an A cup. And then each 2 centimeters more is 1 cup increase, except for some French brands that do 3 centimeters because they are French. But why is there such a big gap in the first cup size? Why all the other sizes go from 2 centimeters to 2 centimeters, but the first cup size goes from 10 to 12? Actually, because it kind of matches the +4 method. Now, brands tell you to calculate that difference between your bust and underbust, but what used to happen is that you would calculate that difference in the same way as in the UK system, so from your bust to your band size. And as we know, your band size actually refers to the bust measurement. That's why in France and Spain they tell people to add 15 centimeters to their underbust measurement to get their band size. And to complicate things even more, some brands use double letter sizing. So in the UK it's very common to go A, B, C, D, then double D, then sometimes triple D or E, and then you can have like double F and things like that. In Europe, that is very rare. Also, remember that in the UK, cup sizes grow from 1 inch to 1 inch, and in Europe usually grow 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters, depending if you're French or normal. But 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters isn't the same as 1 inch. 1 inch is 2.53 centimeters. So all of those A, B, C, D letters don't mean the same, don't relate to the same measurements and the same difference if you are using the UK system or if you are using the European system. Because why make something match? That's a crazy idea. Maybe someone would find a bra that fits. And all of this also means that all of those fancy international bra size equivalence charts also don't work. We are taught that a size 34B UK equals a size 90B in France and Spain or 75B in the rest of Europe, but that's only somewhat accurate if we are using the +4 method for the UK sizing. And also, as we go up on the size chart, especially as we go up on the cup size, we have seen that cup sizes don't really match between countries because some of them are using 2 centimeters, some of them are using 3 centimeters, and some of them are using 1 inch. And yes, you can cry now. So what should we do if we just want to buy a bra? So the first thing that we have to keep in mind is that there are no size equivalencies and there are no size standards. So a good rule of thumb is to always check the website of the brand that you are buying from and see if they have some kind of size guide that talks about the measurements. So let's do a practical example and let's calculate my bra size and see if it matches the size charts on several websites. So these are my measurements. My underbust is around 66 centimeters and my bust is around 81 centimeters. If we want to calculate my size in the +4 method, we have to bring all those measurements to inches. So my underbust would be around 26 inches. So if we add that 4 inches, we would get 30 inches. And that would make me a band size of 30. Now for my cup size, my bust is more or less around 32 inches, so that's 2 inches of difference from my band size. So I would be around a cup B, or in some brands, depending on how they do the jump for the first size, I may also be a C. Let's check that logic with a UK brand. So I went to Fleur of England's website. Fleur of England is a very traditional heritage British brand that have been in business for more than 20 years, and they even have a video showing you how to calculate your bra size. And in the video, the founder, Fleur herself, measures a model. She takes her underbust measurement at 28 inches and says, "This is not her band size, don't fall into that trap." So that's very ironic. Here they show the size chart in the video, which shows a jump of 4 inches for the first cup size. They are clearly calculating that from the old method, the +4 method. According to this, I would be a 30C, so close enough to what I calculated. And that also matches my personal experience because I happen to own a bra from Fleur of England and it's a 30C and it more or less fits me. The cups are maybe a bit too small, but still it fits me. Now, let's do the calculation with the modern method. So if my underbust measurement is 26 inches, it means that I have a 26 bust size. And then for the difference between my bust and the band size, that would be around 6 inches, which would be around a cup E, depending if the brand does double letters or not. Let's check the size guide of a more modern brand, and I'm here at the website of Edge or Beyond, which is a relatively young brand. Instead of using straight measurements, they seem to round up for the band size. So here I would be a 28, not a 26, but for the cup size I would be an E. So my size in this brand would be a 28E, also close enough to what I have calculated. I haven't had the chance to try Edge or Beyond bras, so I have no way of knowing if that size chart is correct on the website, but it seems that more or less makes some kind of sense. At least we don't have any weird size jumps for the cup sizes. Now in Europe, my underbust measurement should indicate my size, my band size. So if my underbust was 66, I would go to the nearest band size, which is 65, and then the difference between my bust and underbust measurement is around 15 centimeters. So for some brands I would be a B cup, and for other brands I would be a C cup, because remember that we don't have a standard cup size chart, but then we know that most of these brands start calculating the first cup size, so cup A, at around 12 centimeters of difference between bust and underbust, and then each cup size is 2 centimeters or 3 if you're French, but let's check all of those calculations in a European brand website. So I'm on the website of a European brand called Closely. They are from Denmark or Sweden, I think. They say that you should measure your underbust and use that for your band measurement. So for me, the closest is a 65 band, so exactly what I had calculated. And their cup sizes start with a 12 centimeter difference for cup A and then a 2 centimeter difference afterwards. So here I would be a 65B. I happen to have tried Closely bras in store, and a 65B turned out to be too small for me in the cup. And then in France and Spain, I would add 15 centimeters to my underbust measurement to know my band size. So if I add 15 centimeters to 66 centimeters, I would get around an 80 band size, and the cup would also be a B or a C depending on the size chart of each brand. So let's check that, and I'm going to check the size chart of the French brand Chantel and see that it kind of holds up. So my band according to them would be 80 and the cup size would be a B, almost on the edge of a C. So probably an 80B or 80C. I haven't tried Chantel specifically, but I have tried other French brands, and I do find that they tend to run a bit big in the cup, so I would probably have to buy a size B. Actually, the challenge here would be to find that size in a store, because in my experience, French brands and Spanish brands start at a 85 band size. Sizes below that, I think they think that we don't exist, so they don't make bras for us. So to sum up, finding your bra size is super easy, and we just need a degree in quantum physics apparently. And once we have unraveled all the other mysteries of the universe, we will be well equipped to accomplish the much more challenging task of buying a bra. Me, as a designer and pattern maker, I tend to advise the brands that I work with, the new brands, that maybe they should start using the new method, the one that adds anything to your underband, because I think it's the one that makes more sense, and it would be easier for the consumer as well to calculate their bra size at home. And of course, I advise them to accompany their size chart with a very detailed measurement guide that explains how to take your own measurements and what do they correlate with in your size chart. Because I also find that a lot of brands, even established brands, have no idea of what measurements, what body measurements are supposed to be in their size chart. So they don't even measure the fit models. So we don't just have to educate the consumers, but we also have to educate the brands and try to do things in a way that makes more sense and to facilitate the experience of the consumer, because finding the right bra size shouldn't be this ordeal. We already have enough problems in our lives, so supporting our boobs shouldn't be one of them. Let me know if you have learned something today, or if you are like me in the depths of despair. If you like pattern making and design, I do have some more videos talking about that, and in most of them I'm not losing my mind like in this one, so you can check them out. And I hope that you have a lovely rest of your day, and see you soon in the next video.